if you're doing a renovation like this, things always have to get worse before they get better. So never forget that. You will need to make a mess to actually progress. I'm Cameron, a DIY obsessed, home improvement and renovation freak. I've been renovating and modifying properties for over 10 years, and I'll take on pretty much any DIY task throughout the house. As long as the project's inspiring and interesting, I'll give it a go. I've faced some incredibly tough challenges in the DIY space throughout the years, but none have been as exciting and possibly as difficult as this one. I'll be taking you guys along for the full renovation from start to finish of this 1973 property, whilst we turn it into a modern home for the family. Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't going to come to this, but I did have a funny feeling that it would. Yeah, green goo. Before I do that, I'm brewing a custard cream. This DIYer won't give up without a fight. This is the renovation. So it's wall removal day. As part of this renovation, we really wanted to open up this lounge area, and this wall, it's in the way, so it's got to come down. We haven't got time to do too much in-depth kind of how-to stuff, but what I will do is set a little time lapse, something like that, or do a few shots so that you can see the process of the wall removal. So step number one of the process, identifying if it's a structural wall. The joists run across a shorter span. When they get to where this wall is, they change direction, so you can see that they sit on top of the wall. So what you then need to do is get in a structural engineer to come and have a look at the wall, which is what we did. And I'll tell you, let me grab my phone, what the plan says. So I had plans written up by my structural engineer. You can see there, it's just a simple plan. And it basically says that we need to use a 178 by 102 RSJ, that's a piece of steel, and that needs to sit on a 100mm bearing of engineering brick on the external wall, and on the internal wall it'll sit on a 215mm long engineering brick. The beam will also need to have 30-minute fire resistance as per the regulations, and that will be achieved by using 12.5mm fire line plasterboard, and that is basically what you pay your structural engineer to come and do. So I paid £150 for the guy to come out and have a look at this wall, really good value, and then what we did is submitted that to our local building control for them to approve it. That cost me the random number of £306, and the RSJ itself, which was a 3.6 metre long length, cost me £200. So all in all, about 650 quid, and then you've got, obviously, if you're going to pay a builder or do it yourself on top. So all in all, not too bad of a cost to open up this lounge. Right, let's get this thing out.
What's wrong and why you never said you felt that way? Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to grey as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay.
And that's it, the wall is out. That is a massive job done. It's been a really long Sunday. We got loads done in a short period of time, really. My mate who owns County Property Services, building work, plumbing, you name it, they do it all. Give them a look if you're in Norfolk in England, really good bunch of guys. Without his help today, I'd have really struggled to do this. So big thanks to him. And in a few days, I'll be getting on with putting some fireline plasterboard on the RSJ. putting some plasterboard in other places that now need plasterboarding before we plaster the room and start to get the room in some kind of shape. I've got to knock the old fireplace out yet. Plenty to do whilst the dust protection's up, but that's it for one day. Right, so where are we up to? Well, I've just booked in the guy that does my plastering, and he is going to be plastering this lounge in 3 weeks. So I've got a 3-week deadline to get the rest of this first fix work done. Cables are in. You can see I've chased all the walls. We've pulled in the cables into those chasers, and they're pulled in down the wall and left in the boxes. Just cut, well, I'll have to curl that up a bit more than that because the plasterer is not going to be happy if I leave that like that. But yeah, it's like that for now. Now you're probably wondering, why haven't I used oval conduit? I like to use oval conduit if I'm running cables in chasers because it makes it easier if we need to rewire it in the future. Not that we probably would, but it does make it easier, and it's, in my opinion, good practice. But because of these, let me show you, let me bring you over here, because the house is made of these very weird, well, you see them a lot abroad, I don't actually know the name for them, but they're like a clay block. If anyone knows the technical term for them, drop it in the comments. But if we go any deeper with our chasers, the rest of that block there is only 3 or 4 mil thick. Now if I break that out, I'm just going to have a void behind it, so I won't have anywhere to put all round band in and hold my 20 mil oval. So I decided that 20 mil oval was going to cause me more aggro because I'd have to foam it in rather than all round band it, and I thought that it might make a bit of a mess. So I have just clipped my cables, and that's a risk that I'm willing to take. There's nothing in the regs that say that you have to put your cables in any form of conduit. You can just clip them, it's perfectly fine. But like I say, I do normally like to put it in oval because it's good practice. So anyway, that's the electrics done in this room. I've got loads to do. I've got to block up this old gas fireplace, and I've got to dot and dab that wall. I've also got to repair the ceiling where we had to take the plasterboard down on the ceiling here. I've got to put bonding in all the chasers. There's some more ceiling up here that had to be cut out to access a junction box because we had to take some cables out. So there's plenty to do, and I've got 3 weeks to do it. When you've got a family and kids and a full-time job and everything else, it takes a while. Oh, and today's job is to take this fireplace out. So I think we'll do that next. Some of it did get took out when we were putting the RSJ in, so I'm going to finish taking the fireplace out because the fireplace is going to be blocked up, I think. I haven't got a solid plan yet, but I think it's going to be blocked up, and then a floor standing wood burner that will exit through the wall and then up into the chimney. See this little box here? I think there's going to be pipes under there from when this old external wall was removed. I think they've probably taken the pipes out of the floor so that they can run them surface mounted into what is an extension on the other side of this sheet, which I'll show you in episode 1. We're going to find out when I start smashing it to bits. So that's the old fireplace surround pretty much out. We just got this sort of decorative box section left. Now, I think they've hidden something in here. I'm anticipating finding some plumbing hidden in there. But let's knock the top off it. But first of all, see if it's hollow. Maybe we can see in the top once we get these tiles off. Let's break it open and find out. Well, it's not hollow. So far, it's a solid brick lump. So we'll just keep attacking it until we find out if there is anything hidden in there. I can see what we've got now. Pretty much as I expected. The old pipework ran under the floor on what was this external wall here. And they've just brought it up from the floor. Dug a hole in the floor, they've brought it up through the floor. If I get a torch, you can see they have connected onto it to take the 2 pipes through the wall. You can see they've used compression fittings as well, which is not good practice in an area that's hidden. But you will find these things when you're doing a renovation. It's just part and parcel of it. So what I'll have to do now is drain down the heating system and move those pipes. I'll probably end up chasing them into the floor, into that extension over there, and taking them across the floor to the radiator. But for now, I might have to come up with some sort of temp fix because we just need to get this part of the room done. That's the old fireplace surround removed, and I can move on to the next job. So I'll take the skirtings off. That shouldn't take too long, and then I'll be moving on to coving removal. By then it'll be lunchtime, and I'll probably have a spot of lunch and head down to Wickes to get some materials to repair all these ceilings. So let's get on with some skirtings. So if you've ever tried to remove skirting boards in an old property like this, you'll know already that you're probably going to come up against cut nails. And they make skirting board removal a little bit tougher than it is in a modern home. So I'm going to show you the easiest way, or at least the method that I've always used, to removing old skirting boards and cut nails without making massive holes in the wall. Because I've made this mistake before when I first started, and I've gone around and tried to remove cut nails and it just makes a massive mess. So I quickly learned that that's not the way to do it. So I'm going to share with you my way of doing things these days. Actually, we'll get this little one out of the way first. Oh, there you go. Cut nail did come out in that case. You want a nice long bar like this. Hold the bar nice and flat to the wall and hit that bar with the hammer. And there you go. So that's the skirting removed. You can see it's left the cut nails behind, and then we're going to hit that cut nail into the wall. The nail went in nice and easily. If it bent over, it doesn't matter. Just keep hitting it in so it's nice and flush with the surface, so you can put your new skirtings on, or plaster in this case, or whatever you're going to be doing. So that's the way I now go about this job. I'll whiz around and do the rest, and then we'll move on to get some covings down. So all the skirting boards are off, and while it's turned into a bit of a demolition day, I think what I'll do now is take all the covings off. It can be sometimes quite tough, sometimes quite easy. If it's a plaster coving like these are, they can be a little bit tougher and messier. And if it's had a lot of coving adhesive applied on each edge, again, that will make it harder. But there is a little trick to getting coving down, and I'll show you it now. We'll knock the middle out of the plaster. Do wear a mask and PPE. I'm not going to because I'm talking to the camera, but I would normally. So now I'd suggest using a little pry bar like this, or any type of flat chisel really. I like this one because of the shape of it. It's perfect for getting up onto the edge of that coving. You can now use that bar to tackle each edge at a time. So I'm going to finish up the rest of this room, get all the coving down, go around and get any little bits of adhesive off that are still stuck to the walls, and I think that'll be it for demolition day, and we can start rebuilding the room now. And that's one thing actually, whilst we're on the subject, that you need to remember. If you're doing a renovation like this, things always have to get worse before they get better. You cannot come in and expect not to make a worse state of the property than what you found it in. You have to strip it back first before you can start rebuilding it and turning it into something nice. That was lesson number one for me when I did my first renovation. I remember walking in and thinking, wow, where do I start? And I didn't really want to destroy the place, but I soon learned that you have to destroy them to actually turn them into something nice. So never forget that, you will need to make a mess to actually progress. So I'm going to finish up here, get the rest of this coving down, pop off to Wickes, and then that'll probably be it for today. I've been at it since 8 o'clock this morning. It's now 3 in the afternoon. I'll pick up the camera again in the morning, so I'll see you then. First job of today is going to be to block up this old fireplace. There was an old gas fireplace here, but the gas main that this was connected to is no more anyway. That's actually been blanked off. I've just got some dense block like this here from Wickes. They're only a couple of quid a block, and mix up a bit of cement and we'll just block this up, and then this wall's going to be dot and dabbed anyway, so it hasn't got to be pretty, it's just got to be blocked up, and then we're going to put a vent in there just to keep that fireplace ventilated. I'll make a little bed of mortar first to get the first block seated down properly, because if we haven't got the first block nice and level, of course the blocks on top are going to be all over the place. So we'll get a little bed of mortar down, get the first block on, level it up, and then carry on building up from there. There's not really too much finesse about this, we just got to get the hole filled. You can see this old brick here, and then it looks like this has been all dug out before. You can see we're now starting to build the level of the cement up so it's level with that first brick, so that we can start blocking up on top of it. So we can get our first block in there. Make sure we get that first one nice and level, because if the first one's not level, all the ones on top of it won't be level. Right, so that's the last block in. I've just got to fill in around the edges now. I should have got one of them little tuck trowels, because they're a lot easier for pushing mortar in around awkward little joints like this one at the top here. But I've got a little trowel, I'll just fill in the gaps with some mortar, point it up a bit, and then we just leave it to dry. And like I say, this wall's going to be dot and dabbed anyway, so it hasn't got to be very pretty. So moving on to bonding now. Now bonding can be used before finishing plaster to fill any deep chases or holes in the wall like we have here. As the room's being plastered, I might as well go round and do all the bonding in all the holes, all the L sockets like this one here as well, and then we can get the whole room plastered. Now, first step of bonding, grab yourself some PVA and whack that in the holes. There's not really any finesse to it, you just want to get it in there. You want to grab a couple of simple filling knives, you don't need anything fancy. You could use a trowel for bigger holes if you need to. Get some bonding on one of the filling knives, hold it at the bottom, and then just fill. Get some in your chase first of all, and then just smooth it over. One little tip, if you're trying to repair round a knockout box like this, hold a nice wide filling knife on the top of the box and use that to fill up against. Get your chase filled, and then your plasterer can come along and do a finishing coat straight over the top of that. I thought I'd show you the progress with the lounge. We've just, well, I would say plastered it. I did a little bit of plastering. I'm not a plasterer. My mate's a professional plasterer. He came in, did all the plastering. I did have a little go. I did that wall with a little bit of help from him. So yeah, I'm not perfect. I am learning with the plastering thing. I just want to be able to do enough to get myself out of a muddle. So yeah, the whole room's been plastered throughout. It's all looking pretty good. I've got to go around and give it all a mist coat. The main reason for this little section of the video is to show you what's going on over this area. So we didn't plaster this wall. We're going to do that later. The wood burner is going in here, and I've got a hell of a mess down here. Massive hole in the floor there, but the new half's going here, so I'm not too worried, but I do need to tidy it all up. We're going to be putting a lot of cement in here and then a bit of self-leveling compound. At this point here, it is getting a little bit difficult to live in this little section of the lounge with a baby and have all this a mess. So the dust going through here is really annoying the missus. I just noticed I forgot to do my hair today. I thought you might want to see the reality of doing a renovation with a family. We've got baby noise in the background, and we've got, I think that's Peppa Pig or something on the telly. And now I'm going to mix up a bit of cement. I'm going to repair the floor where the old wall came out and repair around where the new half's going to go. So the room's kind of prepped up now. I've got a mist coat on most of the room. So we're kind of at that stage now where the room has been pulled apart and prepped, and that's a lot of the work that you don't see. So such a big room that's taken so long to get it prepped. But we're kind of at the stage now where you start to see it coming together, you start to rebuild it. And that's quite a nice stage to be at in any renovation. The only bit of the room that's not been plastered is this wall here. where the wood burner's going, and that is where we're going to pick up in episode 4. We're going to finish this lounge, and that gives us a solid base where we can live, the missus and kids will be happy, and I can get on with the rest of the home. So I hope you're enjoying the renovation so far. Let me know down below what your thoughts are, and if you haven't caught episode 1 and 2, they're going to pop up on the screen somewhere here now, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we finish off this room.